We're here this week's question and answer with Michael Chandler. How you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's great to get you here in the Keep Hammering Collective studio.
Yeah, this has been an experience, to say the least.
been
So I can't
fun.
wait for everybody to see it. It's gonna be awesome.
We've had the best day.
Yeah, it's been a little over 24 hours. I feel like I've been here for a week.
We're packing a lot in.
We're packing a lot in. I love it.
It's good. So we made a post and was gonna just put out there. Anybody have any questions for you? Hit me up. So here's a couple questions I'll go through coming in on Instagram. This one is from Herf Jones. If you got to add 2 more training partners to make this a 4-person lift, run, shoot, who would you add?
Oh my gosh, that's a good one.
I think so.
Man, I'm a huge fan from a hard work and a dedication standpoint. The Rock, they're
Yeah.
really cool. You, me, The Rock.
Oh, that'd be sick.
And then I'm tempted to add somebody who's a little bit out of the, almost like out of the realm of what you think lift, run, shoot would be.
Yeah.
Like somebody who probably can't do the runs, somebody who isn't good at lifting, somebody who's just there for comedic relief.
Like Ron White.
Yeah, like a Ron White. But actually, I will say Theo Vaughn.
Oh,
Theo Vaughn would be
I
awesome.
love Theo.
But I don't say that to say that he wouldn't be able to do it. The dude's been getting after it in Nashville. He lives in Nashville, and I'll see him. He trains with my trainer in Nashville. So he's been getting after it. He trains at my gym a little bit too, does jiu-jitsu and stuff. So he wouldn't exactly be the can't do anything type of guy,
Right.
but he would be a great comedic relief. So if we added The Rock and Theo Vaughn, that'd be pretty great.
Theo just seems like the nicest guy.
He is the most down to earth, just sweet, sweet soul.
Yeah.
And just, I mean, his comedy is just,
I know.
it's so off the wall. Like he makes up these words that are just, you're like, dude, where did that even come? How does your brain even work that way? It's
Or
hilarious.
the stories he comes up with from, I guess, growing up.
Growing up, and part of the time you're like, is that a real story?
Yeah, I know.
How much are you embellishing?
Right.
Not quite sure. Either way, I'm entertained and I'm laughing my face off.
You know, he went to dinner with Joe and I. We did the podcast with Rogan on the same day. And then Joe said, hey, what are you doing later? You want to go to dinner with us? And Theo's like, I'll go. I mean, you guys probably won't call. I probably won't hear from you, but it's fine. I'm used to it. and he was just like it seemed genuine, but nicest guy. So, of course, he went with us and he was awesome.
He's awesome.
Yeah, love that guy. Okay, let's see. We got to get Iron Mike back to MSG to welcome Conor back. What do you think of that?
Oh my gosh. Let's talk about MSG. I am 0-3 at MSG.
Really?
As of right now.
So Gaethje?
Gaethje. Well, I lost to Brent Primus back in Bellator at MSG. Then then Gaethje, my second or third fight in the UFC, and then obviously Poirier, my last fight. But I don't think the venue makes a difference. It's more of just and I'm not superstitious, but I mean, Conor at MSG doesn't get much bigger than that. So we definitely want to fight Conor next, but I don't care where it is. So
yeah. Oh, that'd be a show.
Yeah, I mean, especially there's something different. There is something different about MSG. It's big. I mean, quite frankly, I think it does bring something out of you as a fighter that maybe is not that great for me because it just takes control of me.
It's incredible. I mean, I wouldn't know what it's like to perform there, but just being there and walking in those hallowed halls, basically, and you walk through the hallways where the dressing rooms are, and you see the photos of the stars who perform there, and it's special.
It's crazy, yeah. And they even it was cool this last time too. They had this long hallway. There's a photo of me and Justin Gaethje fighting in the hallway.
Really?
Yeah. I'm like, holy cow. They got Rod Stewart and Janet Jackson, and there's a picture of me and Justin Gaethje, right? And then but it's kind of the same thing. You think about warming up in the same locker rooms as Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson and all these guys, and it really is pretty crazy.
Well, that fight with Gaethje, I mean, I can see why they've wanted to document it, because that fight was it was unlike anything I've ever seen as far as the excitement. And that was the first fight of the pay-per-view that kicked off the pay-per-view, and it was like, it's only downhill from here. Yeah. Because how do you get better than this?
Well, and it was a very smart move by the UFC, because there was another big boxing fight that night. I think it was Canelo.
Oh, okay.
Canelo. So I think in order to secure pay-per-views, announce 2 days before the fight that it's me and Justin Gaethje first. And I didn't even know. They didn't call me and say, hey, what do you think about fighting first? It was just like, Ariel Helwani or MMA Junkie popped up and said, hey, Chandler and Gaethje are the first fight. I'm like, all right, well, I guess we're going first, which I actually was kind of okay with, because you got to fight no matter what. So you might as well just fight as early as possible.
Get it out of the way.
Yeah, you don't have to be done at 2 a.m.
Oh man.
You know?
Yeah, that's one thing about fighting back east there. It is late.
It was tough. Yeah, I didn't get out of the press conference till 1:30 this last time. And it's, it kind of just, you're not going to sleep anyway, but you'd rather at least be back at the hotel or hanging out with your friends and family before.
Well, that was a crazy fight. Yeah. I mean, I think didn't you land a big uppercut on him? Which one was a big shot on him? Do you remember? Was it an uppercut?
On Gaethje. Well, yeah, it was the flying knee.
Oh, okay,
the flying knee that came up, and then he kind of got rocked, and I threw like 3 overhand rights in a row. Just like chased him all the way across the octagon.
Yes.
It was good. I mean, one of those fights where you're just like, I lost, but I didn't really lose.
Yeah.
So
you put on a show.
Yeah.
I mean, there's something to being a prize fighter, right? I mean, of course you're fighting for the prize, but also you're putting on a show.
Yeah.
And you guys did for sure.
That was fun.
So next question. Let's see. Well, this is about weight cutting. We talked about this. So do you feel that weight cutting should go away? What would make the sport more fair regarding PEDs?
So 2-part question. Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of talks today on the drives and on the mountain and stuff.
I know.
When I wasn't trying to breathe my last breaths on in the middle of the when we were able to actually have conversations. We were talking about some weight cutting, and I did say weight cutting is the hardest part and the most unfortunate part and the worst part about the sport. I mean, if I just had to train and I just had to do the workouts and I just had to, just be disciplined, disciplined without the last 10 or 15 pounds, it would be great.
The unhealthy part almost.
Well, yeah, it's the suffering, emotionally, but also the biggest thing is just the long-term effects of, dehydrating yourself or whatnot. But as far as it actually going away, I don't think you're ever going to see it go away.
Yeah.
Even if, we talked about how one championship does their weight cutting where it's, a 155-pound weight class. All you have to make is 170 as long as you pass the hydration test.
Right.
Then eventually you're going to have guys who are way too big for 155.
They're pushing it either way.
They're going to push it and they're going to keep coming and they're going to do it. But I do like the hydration test thing, where you get maybe a 10-pound allowance. And as long as you make that hydration test, the problem is it's, these old habits die hard, if you will. In life, in general, in sport, it takes a long time for these things to change. And unfortunately, until we see, probably some really bad, some people falling out or people even, God forbid, dying because of it, like nothing's really going to change. And, ultimately the older I get, as I've said, I want to fight my next fight at 170. I want to fight Conor at 170. He's big enough to fight 170. I would love that,
Well, I think that image of people jogging with like the trash can, or what is the trash bag liner?
Trash bag,
so they're sweating. That's like part of the sport almost.
Yeah, and it's and to an extent it's healthy. Like I mean, it's fine as long as you don't overdo it.
Drying out your organs.
Because the idea also too is it's like, okay, hey, I only have so much energy to put in during this 1-hour workout. I want to put on a pair of plastics or a sauna suit, trash bag, whatever you want to call it, to get my sweat going faster. It's not to go extreme to the extreme. It's just to get it going faster, because there's nothing worse than working out for 20, 30 minutes and you're like, holy cow, I'm not even sweating. Like, what's going on? So you're almost
get it going.
Because it's just like anything. It's, similar to a runner's high, right? You've had that runner's high. You get that sweater's high, if you will. You're like, oh, I'm sweating. Okay, this is good. It's
putting in work.
It's going to come off tonight, and this is going to be an easier one. So it's almost
measurable.
That reward.
Yeah, that's good.
And as far as PEDs goes, I mean, at some point, what else can you do besides be governed by USADA? I mean,
I think you made a couple good points about not certain whether IV should be regulated like that, or if everybody's getting the same IV to hydrate, and then also maybe stem cells. If there's a difference between performance enhancing and recovery enhancing. Right.
Well, we are governed by USADA. I actually just I have it on my phone, the app where USADA knows I'm right here in Springfield, Oregon. Right?
Okay.
So like they know they can show up here and
pop in
and test me, whatever. So I don't know what else you could do there, but it is a little bit overarching here and there, and even even me just having to second guess things, like, there are supplements here that aren't
Right.
NSF certified. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to drink
I
that.
know.
Well, when 99.9% chance it's 100% fine and it's clean,
Yeah.
but so that's unfortunate. But then the things like IVs, why wouldn't we be able to use IVs? Why wouldn't we be able to use stem cells or some of these other things that are not performance enhancing? There's a bucket of things you should not be using. Steroids, testosterone, HGH, of course.
Nobody's going to argue that.
No one's going to argue that. But there's so many things that you could do for the human body while you're already putting it through these crazy amounts of what we're doing to be able to just live longer so I can go play soccer with my kids in the front yard when I'm done fighting,
I think it needs to be discussed for sure. We talked about this. What's Chandler's walking around weight when he's not fighting?
So I think it changes here and there, but for the most part, I easily get up above 180 no matter what, depending on, after this last fight, as I said, I kind of banged up my ankle a little bit and banged up my hand. So, as I was saying, those are really just excuses for why I haven't worked out. But to be honest, I haven't worked out a ton holidays and just want to, we talked about this too. You go into robot mode for 2-3 months training for a fight. You kind of just want to throw it all away and be like, okay, let me just turn it off and let me feel a little bit lazy for a second. Let's reset. Let me feel what it feels like to eat the crap, drink the crap, not work out, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, now I know what it feels like. Now I want to get back to being healthy again, right?
Back on the grind.
I've been going through that the last 6 weeks or so. So I'm about 185-ish right now.
Okay.
I touched up to 188, 190 here and there. But I'm kind of getting back into it now, so I'm about 185.
Yeah. And you mentioned you try to get maybe 10 off before you start the true camp, and then you just got 20 to work with in your 10-week camp, or what is it?
Yeah, I usually do about a 12-week camp, but the first 4 weeks is kind of don't go crazy into it. But the first 4 weeks is starting to clean up the diet, really starting to dial in the training.
Yeah,
and then that's when it starts coming off a little bit as far as the weight goes. And then that last 8 weeks is balls to the wall training, obviously, and then also meal prep, calorie restricted diet, and all that stuff.
All part of the process.
And then that last 10, 15, 12 pounds is dehydration.
Yeah. The fun stuff.
The fun stuff.
So is a cam workout equivalent to an MMA workout?
It's a great question. They are, obviously they're different, but I think that's the beautiful thing about working out. You can take any modality. You could take jumping rope, which seems pretty easy. You could take whatever, and you can go to the extreme, and it could, go till exhaustion, go till it breaks you, go till your calves fall off, right? Yeah. So that's the beautiful thing. Obviously, yes, I saw Jesus about 3 times today going up Pisgah. I always push myself in my MMA training. This was different, and it's not something that I do a ton. I'm not a big time runner. Not to mention, running with you and running up Pisgah or Spencer Butte. These are awesome things to do. But they definitely took me to a place that I knew I was going to end up going, but I didn't really want to go there, but I was kind of excited to go there. But the one thing that was cool too, and this is kind of just an overarching theme in life, and it kind of hit me today. I was like, I was doing really well, and I was following behind you, and I know you were going at a pace that was probably friendly for me, but I was at least, I was watching your feet move, and I was watching my feet move, and I was like, okay, his feet are just going to keep moving, my feet are just going to keep moving. And then all of a sudden I took a break. And I realized after that, when I took a break and I stopped for a second, or at least started walking, making whatever excuses we make as human beings, after that, my body basically started taking more breaks without my permission.
Yeah.
Like the first one, I was like, I'm going to take a break. And then after that, there was like 2 or 3 more times where my body just like slowed down and like started walking. I'm like, I didn't try to do this. This just happened. So the moral of the story is keep on going, keep on hammering.
Well, you did great. I don't know how you felt, but you did great. You got your body up there. So,
I got up there.
Jumped up on the monument. So that was cool.
That was cool. Well, that was the thing too. That was the dangling carrot. I'm like, I got to jump on this monument.
I know.
I got to jump on this monument.
And you did it.
And we did it a couple times
epic,
too.
Yeah.
I was like, it actually didn't happen unless we jump on the monument. I got to jump on the monument.
And it didn't happen unless there was a picture or video of that.
Exactly.
Yeah, you did awesome though. Here's a good one, and I don't know how this will be. I'll just throw it out there. But What do you consider the moment that shaped your mentality as an athlete?
Great question. There was a couple different catalysts, and I could just go over maybe at least two real quick. The first one, I was a walk-on at the University of Missouri. I was the hardest worker in the room, the coach's favorite wrestler, team captain. I did every single thing right. God blessed me with some amazing abilities. I could have been a multiple-time All-American. I could have been maybe even a national champion. Who knows? But I didn't give myself permission to win. I didn't give myself permission to be the best because between my ears, I didn't think that I truly deserved it. I would tell the media, I would tell the coaches, I would tell you, I'm going to be a national champion. I want to be an All-American. But I didn't truly believe it. I had this cognitive dissonance of my actual belief not matching up with the reality of what I actually believed or what I actually said I wanted to happen.
Right.
I get done. I take fifth as a senior, and we're at the Savas Center in St. Louis, and I walk back to the back, and I take my singlet off. Everybody knows what a wrestling singlet looks like. It's kind of got the two straps. I would take it off, and in that moment, this weight lifted off me, and I thought, holy cow. In this moment was when I realized I underperformed so badly over these last 5 years because I didn't truly believe that I could have been successful, that I should have been an All-American.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I made a promise to myself, okay, Michael, you're going to move into mixed martial arts. Don't let that happen again. You know what it feels like to fall short and it be over and have that regret.
Right.
So that was kind of the first catalyst. And then the second catalyst was a couple of years later, I got shot out of a cannon in mixed martial arts. I ended up becoming 12-0 with like 9 first-round finishes. I'm ranked number 5 in the world or something like that. And then I lost that first fight to Eddie Alvarez. I wasn't ready to lose at all. I was not built up enough in my mind to lose. Then I lost to Will Brooks. Will Brooks again, I went 688 days without winning a fight. And in that 3 fight loss streak, almost 2 years of losing, I had to make some big time decisions between what was going on between my ears because I was building up my body and I was doing all the work and I was just building up a bigger, faster, stronger, subpar version of me, really, because I didn't truly believe it. So I really started taking ownership of my mindset. So it was kind of those two things, realizing how badly I underperformed in college. And it was mainly just mental. I didn't underwork. I didn't undertrain. I didn't underput the reps in. I just underbelieved.
Yeah.
And it's been a recurring theme in my life, and I see it all over the place. And it's not necessarily people's fault because of the things that they've been through, but they can get better at it.
Yeah. No, that's great points. I mean, and I think just verbalizing that, I think people do that and they don't realize it.
Yeah.
But I think, you look yourself in the mirror and you can say the right things, but if you don't believe it, it's going to be tough. I mean, there's that saying that man's greatest regret is unfulfilled potential, is when you get to the end of this journey and you're laying there, just like your time with this, taking your singlet off, and you're like that sobering thought of, did I truly give all I have?
Yeah.
Or did I say I was?
Well, yeah.
And nobody knows. Only you know.
Yeah. Well, and the unfortunate thing too was I deserved, based on the work ethic and based on if coach said run through that wall, I would have done it. And I would have left everybody in the dust. I was the prototypical just pupil, the guy who deserved it. He did everything. So why wouldn't I deserve to believe that it's just the mindset part of things and the falling short based on your self-image it's such a tough thing to get over, but it can be conquered.
Did your coaches tell you were the best?
They did.
They did.
They did, and they believed in me more than I believed in me. My training, I've been talked a lot about my past too with like Tyron Woodley I wrestled with, who ended up becoming a UFC champion, Ben Askren, who ended up becoming a mixed martial arts fighter as well and multiple time world champion. Those were like my big brothers, and they were like, Michael, you can do this. And I'm like, oh yeah, for sure. But in my mind, it's like, no, you can't, dude. No, you can't. Who do you think you are, dude? You're a little guy from a little town who was taught to do little things, and I'm still battling that guy. And it's okay for me to continue to battle him and never slay him. It's like, I worked with a mindset coach named Jim Hensel, and he said, sometimes we slay a dragon and sometimes we just get really good at pushing him into a corner.
Yeah. Well,
And
that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's okay to just push him into a corner and never slam, because you also need to rely on continuing to get better and also rely on God.
Yeah.
John Gordon said that to me one day. I said, because we were talking and I said, I just can't wait I would love to just get rid of this little guy from the little town.
Yeah.
And he's like, but if you did, what would you need God for?
Yeah. Right.
And I'm like, it's true. Sometimes we need these things in our lives to continue to trust and to continue to have faith,
Yeah, no, that's true. And I mean, I think you've done a good job of almost embracing it now, because you got walk on your sweatshirt. That's almost like challenging that. Yeah, I did come up. I was a walk on.
Yeah.
And here I am. But still, we're still humans. We still have insecurities and we still have doubts. And no matter what we say or how we act, we know we're battling with this. I think you verbalizing that, I mean, because people would look at you and think that you're bulletproof.
For sure.
I mean, they'd say, "Oh my God, why can't I be more like that guy?" So to hear that you're like us, you just overcome it and fight it and not really embrace it, but just acknowledge that it's there. I think that's pretty powerful.
Well, it is, because when I think that, I realized that a while ago too, is that this is such a big part of my platform, because it's such a common thread and it's a common problem, and it does lend itself to the masses. Everybody has something that they need to work on, or everybody has these doubts and fears and insecurities, and to have those things is to be human. We are prone to wander, and there's different seasons in life. There's seasons where you will feel bulletproof and everything is firing on all cylinders and you have your breakthroughs and everything is going great. Then all of a sudden a couple things happen and all of a sudden you're down in the dumps and you need to be pulled out of it, and you have to reach back and remember those things that you learned. Remember those practices that you had. Remember those things that you did. For me, what did I do in those 688 days? What did I do during this time of my life? What did I do? How did I feel in that greatest moment of regret when I was taking those straps of the singlet down? And you look back at your life and the mental highlight reel and the chapters of your story to continue to remind yourself that you can continue to get better and continue to grow.
Right. You've done it before, you can do it again.
Yeah.
Type thing. Yeah. It's no different with bow hunting. It's been, sometimes I'll be on a good run. I'll be successful, and one tough hunt, and I'm like, how have I ever even killed anything with a bow? I mean, I'm not even good.
And it's so funny. The average bow hunter would be like, wait, what? Cameron Haynes thinks that?
Yeah.
That thought has actually gone through his mind, but it's something so beautiful, because I would never think that you would ever think that either. Just like other people would never think that I think maybe I don't think I'm that good at fighting, or I don't think I fight in a cage for a living, but I still want to go home and like curl up in a ball in a fetal position and have my wife hold me sometimes, right? It's just like, do you have these moments? You're a human being. We are prone to wander, and it's a beautiful thing, but also accepting that, and also even you verbalizing that you actually have that, those kind of thoughts, even with your experience and with your massive amount of success, makes you human.
Yeah, and I think people will say, well, how I've overcome it. So it's like, it doesn't seem fair, because you can have years of success and everything's working like it's supposed to, one failure and you're questioning everything. Yeah. So then to me, how I overcome that is I just like, I got to get back to work.
Yeah.
And when I'm back at work, putting the reps, putting the miles, shooting the arrows, I'm like, this is all I can do. All I can do is put in work, get better, overcome whatever happened. And so that makes me feel better.
Yeah.
Just that I'm out punching that time clock. Well, quitting doesn't help anything.
No, for sure. That's what, and even just getting back on the horse, like we've heard it 1,000 times, getting back on the horse, it's getting back to doing what you're doing, and almost just, you can't move past something unless you continue to engage in that and then find your next success. I mean, that was the great thing about wrestling. If I lost a wrestling match on Wednesday, I'm most likely I can get back in a win column on Saturday.
Right.
The problem with fighting is I might lose in January and not fight again until May, June. You don't have a win until then. So similar to that, it's like, hey, well, I can go climb that mountain. I can go shoot 60 arrows right now, and 58 of them are going to be right where I want them to be, and that's a very great success. And then you get back in the win column, and that's right. I think we underestimate just getting back on the horse and just giving yourself the opportunity to win again will make you all this. You'd be very surprised how quickly you can forget about that loss. you know?
I think it's important too that it seems like wins, it's hard to keep track of big wins and little wins. Like a win, a UFC belt is a huge win, but also winning the day in the gym almost feels like it's still in that win column.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's not quite as a heavy line as a UFC champion, like that really thick like win call or a mark in the win column, but it's still a win.
Yep.
And it still feels good and it's still something to build on. And it's like, as long as we can have even a little win that you start stacking those up, and then the ship starts to turn a little bit. And now all of a sudden you got momentum going down the right direction.
Yeah. That's what Drew Brees always said. Every day was like, just win the day. Just win the day. If I win today and I put it together with tomorrow and then 5 days after that, and then we got a week and you put it together 30 days and you have a month. And very simple too, when you think about getting back in the win column, okay, I had a bad day. What can I do tomorrow that I can get back in the win column? And even just making an easy to-do list for yourself of things that you know you can check off is a win. Because part of the reason why we fail sometimes is, can we really trust ourselves? You might be slacking in this area, you might be slacking in that area, you might cut a corner over here.
Right.
If you can't trust yourself in the small things, God's word said, the Bible says, he who can't be trusted with the big things until you can be trusted with the small things.
Right.
And it's like, well, can I trust you to show up on time? Can I trust you to show up and do this, have your hair done, not look like like these small little wins that you can have just by, and then those things stack up, that turns into a big win. Day. Yeah.
I love it. Well, that was a great Q&A for, we're wrapping up our lift, run, shoot day. This isn't even the official podcast. This is a little bonus, but thank you. Let's go eat some elk. How about that?
Some elk. Yes, I can't wait. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Keep hammering.